Welcome back to the movie recap. Today's movie will be a 2015 American Western psychological thriller film titled Echoes of War. Sit back, relax and enjoy the video. The movie begins with a man and a woman running toward a burning house. Then, the screen fades, and we find Wade Riley on a horse who comes across Marcus McCluskey picking flowers on the field for his mother. He asks Wade what he's doing back, and the other man answers that he came back to see his family and find some peace. Not knowing what to reply to that, Marcus tells him that he's going home, and Wade offers to ride with him. On their ride back, Wade asks Marcus about his family. He talks about his brother, who didn't make it before, and his mother, who was never the same again, and when Wade prompted Marcus about his father, he only let out a sigh. Wade arrives at Riley's home late and knocks on the door. Seamus, with his gun out, asks who's out there. The other man urges him to open up as he tells him his name. As Seamus opens the door, Wade raises his hands when he notices the gun and teases him about greeting his brother-in-law. Another door opens behind Wade, and out steps Abby, his niece, who immediately goes to him for a hug. Sammy, his nephew with Seamus, then walks out and runs into his arms. Inside, he entertains Abby and Sammy with a story about the Battle of Pea Ridge. As he finishes, Seamus asks him where's home now. Sammy follows it up by asking Wade if he'll be staying. He leaves the answer up to Seamus. Unable to say no to his son, he agrees. Wade promises that it'll be temporary. He comments that it doesn't feel right being at home without her referring to his sister, Mary. Something shifts in Seamus, and he stands up, telling him that her grave is out in the field, which he's sure he'll find. In the pasture, Randolph, Marcus' father Randolph walks up to him. Marcus is teaching Dillard, his mentally challenged brother, to shoot small animals. He asks if he's out there wasting time and ammunition, which Marcus reasons they gotta eat. Randolph scoffs and asks how he could end up with a useless son like him and comments that he wasn't half the man his brother was. Before he leaves, Marcus tells him that Wade's back. While Wade accompanies Seamus and Sammy to set traps in the woods, someone visits Abby, offering her flowers he had picked up. She pulls the bandana away and asks Wade what he's doing. She admonishes him, but Marcus tells her Seamus continuously checks his trap during that time. He compliments her beauty comparing her flowers to the flowers. In the woods, Wade shares his knowledge about boars with Sammy. They find the boar caught in one of Seamus' traps. But Dillard, one of Marcus' brothers and Randolph's son, takes it home. Wade and Sammy only watch him carry it away. Dillard calls Randolph to show him the boar he had caught. Marcus gets home, and Randolph asks him where he's been. He replies that he was out riding. Randolph gestures to the boar that Dillard had brought home and asks Marcus what he's been doing for the family. He cautions the younger man to stop daydreaming and start helping. Wade is cleaning up the raccoon they caught as Sammy excitedly tells him a bunch of different insects he had accidentally eaten. He asks the boy how long the McCluskey's been stealing from them, which shuts him up. Wade asks him again, and Sammy finally tells him that it's been happening since Mary died. Seamus doesn't do anything, excusing their behavior since they're just desperate. During dinner, Wade mentions that he knows the McCluskey's been stealing Riley's food as they say their prayers. Seamus tells him off, and Wade belittles him for trying to pray the problem away instead of doing something about it. The next day, Wade goes to the field to visit Mary's grave. He rides out to McCluskey's property after and greets Randolph, who's smoking out on the porch. He gives his condolences for Randolph's deceased son, which Randolph brushes off by expressing that war has its consequences. He offers help if needed, but Randolph tells him they're managing just fine. Wade points out that a cattleman without cattle can't be doing just fine. Randolph warns him about messing with another man's business, which Wade agrees to. Finally, he tells Wade to get off his porch. Wade leaves, but not before pointing out that he was asking nicely. Marcus and Abby meet by the creek, where they spend time together, splashing and skipping rocks. Marcus opens up about Wade and how he argued with Randolph. Abby says it's cowardly talk that offends him. The Riley men of Wade, Seamus, and Sammy cut and burn wood to make charcoal out of the woods. The McCluskey men of Dillard, Marcus, and Randolph ride over to them, where Randolph cautions them about making sure the fire won't spread over to their land. Seamus asks him if they came over to tell them off for the fire, but Randolph gestures over to Wade, telling Seamus to make sure to keep him off his property. Next, he reveals that they had helped when Mary was sick, but he was sure Wade didn't know about that. Finally, Seamus argues that their debts have been paid, but Randolph disagrees. Seamus questions Wade for approaching McCluskey. Wade asks why he lets them take advantage of them. Seamus tells him it's not his concern, but Wade insists that he has a right to know. Seamus continues the argument that they don't take much, but Wade asserts that it doesn't make it right. He offers his help, but Seamus refuses. Wade wakes up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat. It seems he had another bad dream involving the Civil War. He walks out into the woods and falls asleep next to a tree. He wakes up with a start the next day. The sun's out. He hears and sees Dillard stealing from Seamus' traps again. He greets the man, who scrambles for his rifle in a panic. He distracts Dillard with a story from when they scared the cattle out in Randolph's pasture. Wade reaches out for Dillard's rifle just as the other man takes a step back right into one of the traps. He cries and pleads with Wade, but the other man just takes the animals he tried to steal and returns home. When Abby and Marcus meet, he tells her about what happened. She asks if he needs pelts or meat and moves to get them for him, but Marcus asks her to just talk to Wade and let things blow over. He tells her that they don't need to be like them and discloses that they differ from their family. Later that day, Marcus meets up with Randolph and Dillard. The two are getting ready to teach Wade a lesson. Still, Marcus argues that Dillard was caught stealing, which is why Wade retaliated. Randolph hits him and orders him to get back on his horse or else he'll kill him. Abby comes across Wade whittling out on the porch. She decides it's time to talk to him about the McCluskey. He thinks no one cares, which Abby denies but concedes that because of it, the other family leaves them alone, and it ain't as bad as it seems. Wade asks her if she thinks Mary would have agreed. She reassures him that things will return to the way it was with the war. Wade wakes up in the middle of the night again. This time because he heard a horse's neigh out in the field. They find all of Seamus's traps broken and left out in front of the house. Seamus asks Wade what he has done. They get into an altercation, with Wade insisting that he's looking out for the kids like he promised. Seamus calls him out and reveals that she had nothing to do with it. But Wade blames him for what the McCluskey thinks is their debt. Bolstered by ignorance, Sammy finds Wade the next day and tells him that he agrees with him. He thinks little of his father, Seamus, since he refuses to stand up to the McCluskey and doesn't even fight during the war. Sammy admits that he wishes the war wasn't over so he could have joined. Instead of being proud, Wade yells at him, asking him if he thinks he can do what he did. Marcus and Abby meet by the creek again but get into a disagreement, with Marcus blaming Wade for what happened and Abby calling him a coward for not standing up to his family. Marcus proposes they leave, reassuring her that he can take care of them. Abby refuses, knowing her family couldn't last without her. She also mentions that no one would care for Doris, his mother. They kiss, not knowing that Wade has seen them. At dinner, Abby asks Seamus how things are in town. She talks about the flowers up to the McCluskey's house. He asks her not to come near the place. She claims that she was just riding by and comments that it'd be nice if the past could stay in the past. She gets into a minor dispute with Wade about the war being hard but things being hard back home. It seems she stands by Seamus's decision to let the McCluskey steal from them. Wade starts insulting the McCluskey family, especially Marcus, which he knows will get to Abby. At the McCluskey's house the next day, Marcus offers to finish bathing Doris from Randolph. As soon as his father leaves, he tells Doris about Abby. He asks if he can have her ring, but Doris refuses. Marcus begs her to let him take it, pulling it off her finger. Out by the creek during their usual meeting, Abby tells Marcus that they can't continue with their secrecy. She asks him what would happen if someone found out about them, and Marcus shrugs it. She asks if he'll turn his back on his father. He admits he will if it means they can be together. He pulls out Doris' ring and puts it on Abby's finger. Unbeknownst to them, Wade is watching them again. As Marcus puts his shoes back on, Abby is already gone, and Wade walks up to him. The younger man is wary of him and what he wants. Wade, remembering what he did with Abby, punches him hard. He attempts to drown Marcus, warning him to stay away from her. Randolph finds Marcus with a bruised cheek and asks him if it was Wade who had hurt him. Not wanting things to escalate, Marcus lies and explains that it was an accident. Randolph repeats what he says and threatens to accidentally hurt Abby if he doesn't tell the truth, which surprises Marcus since he didn't think anybody else knew. The McCluskey men arrive at the Rileys' property with Randolph calling for Wade. Abby steps out of the house while Seamus watches them from afar. Wade walks up to a rifle-wielding Randolph, who tells him they've got business. This time even Dillard and Marcus are holding guns. Instead of backing down, Wade starts walking up to them, insulting the whole family. Randolph takes a shot but his horse panics, and he hits Sammy. Abby and Seamus run for Sammy. The boy is hit on the chest. The McCluskey men leave immediately. At the McCluskey's house, Dillard repeatedly accuses Randolph of killing Sammy. They're all pacing so that they don't notice Wade enter. Randolph feels him and reaches for his rifle, but Wade has already shot him before he can aim. Dillard turns to Wade and repeats what he's been saying to Randolph. Wade doesn't hesitate and shoots him in the head as well. Marcus runs. Wade chases him up the stairs. For a moment, he's distracted by Doris, who's in her rocking chair. Marcus shoots him but only hits him on his arm. Wade returns fire and hits the younger man in the chest. He then walks up to Doris and kills her too. We're taken back to the beginning, and we find out that the McCluskey's house was burning. Abby finds Wade standing in front of the burning house and asks him where Marcus is. Wade turns to her and blankly stares at her. She hits him on his chest, but Seamus pulls her away. Wade turns to him and tells him that he's been waiting for Seamus. Randolph's still alive and has a bullet left which he saved for Seamus. He walks up to Seamus, but the other man points his rifle at Wade. He realizes that Seamus won't kill Randolph. So he lifts his gun and points it at Randolph, but Seamus takes a shot and kills Wade instead. The next day, Seamus stands in front of Sammy, Mary, and Wade's graves. He kneels and shakily pleads for Mary's forgiveness. The movie ends with him taking out the little Confederate figure that Wade was whittling, leaving it on top of Wade's grave before walking away. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.